Undercover police decoys have made over 300 prostitution arrests on Biscayne Boulevard since the beginning of this year. You'd think some of the girls might get discouraged.
I've been arrested since I've been doing this about 300 times. It doesn't matter. You don't care either, do you?
10 years and I've been arrested about 5. Don't care about going to jail.
I don't care.
Yeah, we don't care about.
Because we're going to get out.
Despite the efforts of the City of Miami Police Department, Biscayne Boulevard has become very well known.
Girls from Tennessee and Chicago and everywhere else that they're on vacation, they all know Biscayne Boulevard. We've got a couple of judges that no matter what kind of past they have, no matter how many times they've been arrested for prostitution, they're going to get 15 days upon a guilty plea.
Which is not enough.
Well, it doesn't appear to be. The streets are still full.
Police say Broward hookers are turning their attentions on Miami because they're being forced to serve more time in the new Fort Lauderdale jail, up to 60 days. The pressure to lock the girls up came from the business community. Steve David heads up that community group, and he admits that some of those demanding enforcement of the laws are probably violating them.
There's an awful lot of Mercedes and Cadillacs and Rolls Royces picking up the women, and several of them are people that we know. I mean, quote, business leaders, the real hypocritical elite. Our group's like any other group. You know, we have a large, diverse membership, and I'm sure that some of them probably do. And again, we're not challenging their personal taste or their sexual views, but they just need to do it in privacy and not out destroying the city.
We'll never do away with prostitution. We've never thought that we would be able to. We'd like to get it off the streets and, you know, quit having it be so obvious. I would like to see it legalized and controlled. It's worked in other places. I can't say that my department feels the same way.
South Florida law enforcement agencies will continue to enforce the laws, but they all agree, illegal or not, as long as there's customers and money to be made, the hookers will still be on the street.
It's a free country, supposedly, and if a guy feels like he wants to go out and pay for sex, he does have that right. He should have that right.
In Miami, Jerry Cohen, Channel 10 Eyewitness News.
4 years. Almost 4 years.
Tell me.
Did you search her already?
Take it to the back of the car and I'll turn it back.
You've been doing this for a while?
Yeah, about 4 years. Almost 4 years.
For most, if not all of the murder victims, this time of night and these places in downtown Indianapolis were part of their lives. They were known hustlers, young men and boys who walked these streets selling sexual favors for a price. For the victims, it may have turned out to be a very dangerous way to make money. And while it's clear it was easy money that brought them to these streets, it's not as clear why they died and why their bodies were discovered in isolated spots away from the city. In northeast Hamilton County, the nude body of 15-year-old Michael Petrie was found in June of 1980. The cause of his death, undetermined. Then, nearly 2 years later, in northern Marion County, 26-year-old Dennis Brodsky was found dead of undetermined causes. He was last seen alive 2 days earlier, getting into a car in front of the downtown library. Just a month and a half later, in northeast Hamilton County, another body was found, later identified as 23-year-old Maurice Taylor. The cause of his death is also undetermined. Then in October of last year, in southeast Hamilton County, 14-year-old Delvoyd Baker was found in a ditch, strangled to death. He was seen getting into a blue van the night before in front of the downtown library. Farther west in Putnam County, 21-year-old John Roach was found stabbed to death late last December. In the latest case in southern Hendricks County, the body of 22-year-old Daniel McNevey was also found stabbed to death. He was last seen leaving a West Side tavern with another man. Only in the Baker murder have police been able to make substantial progress. Evidence in the case has been presented to a Hamilton County grand jury, and the Hamilton County prosecutor says businessman Gus Kaido was issued a target subpoena and cited for contempt when he refused to testify. Kaido has not been charged. In both the Roach and McNevey cases, police believe there may be a strong link. Both men were killed the same way, their hands tied and their trousers pulled down to the ankles. But so far, police have no strong leads in either of those cases. And the publisher of the regional gay magazine The Works says that's because police don't know enough about the gay community. Stan Berg maintains police should open their files to representatives of the gay community and enlist their help in solving the murders.
We can oftentimes talk with a lot of the people who are out on the street, and they will talk to us. These people will not talk to the police. And even if they do talk to the police, they're likely to lie to them or to say anything just to get away from the police. But we think that, honestly, if the police gave us a chance at helping them, that there is a good chance we could uncover the murder, because there have been too many murders up to this point. Someone has got to have seen something, and they're not talking.
But Lieutenant Jerry Campbell of the Indianapolis Police Department says he has been exchanging information and will turn to members of the gay community if their help is needed. Right now I'm here at the Police Training Academy on the city's east side, where Lieutenant Campbell was one of more than a dozen law enforcement officials who met today to compare notes on these and other murders. Their meeting ended just a short time ago. They began discussing information on the cases this afternoon, and they say it will take at least a couple of days to examine the huge amounts of evidence. One of the methods they will use to try to link these cases is a technique known as psychological
what that
profiling.
Technique involves is looking for psychological evidences of the base motivations of the perpetrators. This is an attempt to determine if, again, there are any commonalities psychologically of the perpetrators behind these various events.
We want to try to find out if there is a commonality here, and if there is, what it is. We want to try to use that information, if there is a commonality, to be prepared to investigate properly the future cases that occur in Indiana. And basically, this is a sharing of information. To my knowledge, this is the first time anything like this has ever happened in Indiana.
More experts from the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia are arriving in the city tonight. There will be more meetings, and we will follow their progress. And tomorrow we'll have a special report that looks at life on the street, and we'll talk with a male prostitute. From the Police Academy on the city's east side, this is Mindy Mintz with a live report.
It's not a science yet. It's only a combination of intuition and experiential background that they have had over a period of years. So they're going to be looking at these various cases that are offered by the various investigators, and looking at the autopsy, the crime scene, the victimologies, and the case reports, and again an attempt to determine if they see any commonalities among them. Keep using that term. If it looks like there are, then it would be an obvious need that we continue to meet with all of these bodies turning up.
As midnight approaches, a streetwise set of people play a secretive kind of game with a different set of rules. When young men and boys walk the street to sell sexual favors, it is illegal and dangerous. At least 6 people known to play the game in Indianapolis have lost their lives in the last 3 years. The youngest 14, the oldest 26. And that's just about the age range of the people who hustle here.
Some of them are real young. They've been coming on the streets younger and younger, like 14 to 16. And they come from not a good family, or a good family, but more a poor family. And they don't get spending money, because their parents don't make enough, and they're dropouts, and they ain't got work, so they just go downtown to get money, because they know they can get it.
The voice you hear is that of a 21-year-old man who's been hustling for 4 years in Indianapolis.
Why did you become a prostitute?
The money was good. I didn't have no training or nothing. I just It's easy money, really. I made money well, sometimes. Sometimes I make good money, and plus I like to party a lot, and I didn't have the money to do it. That's the case I went downtown. That's the only way I can get the money. It's better than going out and doing something else that you can get big time for.
This young prostitute says he makes about $25 from each customer, or trick as the street lingo goes. And in the summer, he says he can turn anywhere from 6 to 15 tricks a night. He can make that because there are men who will pay.
Doctors, and lawyers, and everything. All kind. They're some poor, they save their money up.
The hustlers' customers will generally drive or park their cars in areas known well by those who play this game. Monument Circle, the downtown library, and East Washington Street. And there is a certain process that lets these players know when it's time to score.
The hustler always mostly looks, at the cars, and if the guy looks at the hustler, either the hustler or the guy will nod their head. Then, or if the car pulls over, you just go up, you look. If he goes like that or waves you over, just talk to him, and he'll ask you for a ride down the street or something. And then they talk about bars, gay bars. Then that's when you go, oh yeah, this is going to be a trick.
But with the murder of hustlers, jumping into cars has become riskier business, and the hustlers are now more cautious.
I think about it every time I get in a car or whatever. But I've always got my eye on the guy. But still, the guy can take me if he wanted to, probably.
And that's part of the reason these steps are vacant, where they once were almost crowded with hustlers. The other part is a crackdown by police. Every night, officers stop men and boys walking the streets, but unless they have warrants or catch them breaking the law, there's little they can do to stop them from hustling. And only in undercover operations are prostitution arrests common.
You never know who's going to pick you up. You can get beat up and taken advantage of, and you can also get arrested at it. I'd rather get locked up than killed.
The profession of street walking has become a big problem. So much of a problem that last spring, Mayor Frank Ivancy and Chief Still launched a Get Tough policy designed to clean up the crime-ridden streets and neighborhoods that so many residents are angry about. But some people oppose the idea of a police crackdown, saying that it's not the answer to the problem. Tonight, we'll discuss what should be done about prostitution. For some background and a closer look at this issue, here's Ben Padro.
Sex is for sale in Portland. We've talked to people about the prostitution problem in the city. It's obvious that no one is happy with the situation except perhaps the pimps, who are the ones pocketing all the money. The prostitutes themselves are often victimized. The clients or Johns are becoming afraid of the legal and medical complications. The cops are frustrated and demoralized, and the community at large doesn't like the idea of merchandising sex in their neighborhoods. Hookers. They're both male and female, black and white, and usually between the ages of 18 and 24. Many are runaways, poorly educated, with no significant income except the money that's made on the streets. A hard-working hooker makes an average of $300 to $400 a day in this business. Recent statistics from the Portland Vice Division show that nearly 1,400 people were arrested on prostitution charges from January through October of 1982. These charges include not only the sexual acts, but also the advertising, loitering, and soliciting of prostitution.
Prostitution is a tough business. It's tough on the neighborhoods, it's tough on the prostitutes, and it's tough on the businesses in the area itself. Among our guests this evening, we have Lieutenant Chuck Carl of the Portland Police Bureau's Division of Drugs and Vice to talk about the problem of prostitution. What's your feeling about prostitution, Lieutenant?
Well, personally, it's a crime in this jurisdiction, and I'm obligated to enforce it. Besides that, I feel it kind of undermines the relationships that most people value. It exploits people, and I have a couple of theorems that hold true, I believe. Drugs equals money, equals drugs equals money, and selling sex equals money, equals sex equals money. And that's the way it goes. It's a big money business, and it basically exploits people because of that.
Well, the argument is made, however, because it is a big money business and because it does exploit, that it may well be that the current system of cracking down on prostitution is not the answer, but that we may look to another possibility. We have with us attorney Rob Wolf to discuss the other possibility with regard to prostitution. Rob, do you take the position that prostitution should be legalized?
I do. I think it's been shown that the oldest profession in the world is prostitution. I think the second oldest is a police officer trying to arrest a prostitute. The reality is that the prostitute's succeeding, the police officer is failing. No fault of the police. They're enforcing the law the way they are told to do and the way the law is today. But in reality, if we can't stop it, and prostitution is growing every year, arrests are growing every year, and there's more in the streets, and they're not affecting it except moving it at times into the neighborhoods, then we ought to try to legalize it so we can tax it, so we can regulate it, and so we can control the health aspects of it.
Prostitution case, and saying that he feels that I shouldn't be put in jail, and he's giving me some money.
10 News has learned that Patrolman Everick has since been fired from the police department. The next officer to become involved was Lieutenant Carl Black, who was in charge of that special anti-prostitution unit. Lieutenant Black, Donna claims, never had sex with her.
Well, I first met him when he was running the detail, and he approached me, and he said that he thought I was a very nice person, and that I was different from the typical hooker. Well, it's against policy for, an officer to co-sign for someone that's been charged with a crime that he's supposed to be enforcing.
And he did that?
Yes.
He co-signed your bail?
Yes.
And he gave you money?
Yes.
How much?
$1,000.
Lieutenant Black, she says, has since been placed on a 10-day suspension. The third officer involved is Sergeant Ken Hargrove. Donna claims Lieutenant Black, Sergeant Hargrove, and another police sergeant, Jeff Fellows, all took dates to the Colorado River Resort of Lake Havasu, Arizona, in June of last year. She says Lieutenant Black, quote, set me up with Sergeant Hargrove. She took these pictures of Sergeant Hargrove water skiing. She also claims to have had sex with him. Did you have sex with Sergeant Hargrove?
Yes.
Did he know you were a prostitute?
No, he didn't at the time.
But the lieutenant did?
Yes.
Sergeant Hargrove has since been transferred. Donna also says that a fourth officer, a reservist, known to her only as Mike, paid to have sex with her 3 times.
At Las Colinas, this officer was asking me how much I charge and said he was interested. And I dated him 3 times.
And he paid for sex 3 times?
Yes.
Police Chief Bill Cullender says he cannot, by state law, comment on any matter pending under administrative review.
May take action against the people involved. I cannot comment what that will be until after the situation is investigated and settled.
However, Chief Cullender does say that this 6-month internal investigation reveals that no criminal charges should be brought against any of the 3 police officers. This despite the seriousness of the charges raised by the self-confessed prostitute. We also asked the district attorney's office about this matter. They say they weren't even aware of the investigation.
And from yesterday, when Chief Bill Cullender said no charges would be filed against any of the 3 men. Bob Donnelly, who broke the story last night, has more in this follow-up report.
22-year-old Donna Gentili this morning began serving a 90-day sentence for prostitution. Yesterday, in this exclusive interview, she told of alleged wrongdoings by San Diego police officers.
Well, I performed sex with him, and he's giving me some money.
Today, from jail, she gave me this 7-page letter detailing more allegations of police wrongdoing, claiming she has been harassed by the police for speaking out against them. Among other things, she claims a former customer of hers was the police reserve officer who since testified against her in court, sending her to jail. She says, quote, I dated him 3 years ago. I used to be a prostitute 3 years ago. I never forget a face. This is what she told me yesterday of that same encounter.
I was being transported to jail. This was about 3.5 years ago. And while I was sitting in the car at Las Colinas, this officer was asking me how much I charge and said he was interested. And I dated him 3 times.
And he paid for sex 3 times?
Yes.
Donna also claims that this police officer, Lieutenant Carl Black, befriended her and gave her $1,000. She says she had sex with a police sergeant who did not know at the time she was a prostitute, and that she had sex repeatedly with this man, Patrolman Larry Averick. Averick, she says, demanded sex and, quote, used his badge to get it.
Police officer is to protect and serve, and as far as an officer using his badge to get favors from prostitutes, that's wrong.
And the only one who did that was?
Officer Average.
This deadbolt was placed on Donna's front door by the police internal affairs officers who were concerned about threats from Averick. Averick has since been fired from the force. Lieutenant Black has been officially removed from duty. Donna, in her letter, says she feels betrayed by the police. She helped bust 3 policemen, she says, yet the department refused to help her. Instead, she says, they are turning against her. The police harass me, she says, and they, quote, followed me 4 to 5 hours a day, giving her traffic tickets. Quote, I have 7 tickets pending now. I got 5 of them in 2 hours' time.
And I've indicated to her any help they could give was beyond me, and there's been certainly no assistance from them.
Nothing at all?
Absolutely nothing.
Did Internal Affairs even write a letter to the judge saying that she was cooperating?
Absolutely nothing was done on her behalf.
And now 10 News has learned that yet another member of the San Diego Police Department has been fired for allegedly paying to have sex with Donna Gentili. That member of the police department was a reserve officer. The incident happened back in 1981. He was fired a year later. His name at this time is not being released. As for the other officers involved, that matter is still under investigation. Bob Donnelly, 10 News.
The owners of the bars were hauled before the liquor board after having employees or customers convicted of soliciting prostitution. The Circus Bar, Club Harem, and Bottoms Up have all been temporarily shut down before. Sherry's Place has been charged before. Police keep on trying. They say prostitution is not a victimless crime.
It isn't uncommon for a man who would avail himself of her services to be ultimately the victim of a robbery. Quite often he may not report this as a crime, because especially if the person has a wife, a family, or he's a businessman, or has some standing in the community.
And Bass says prostitutes themselves can fall victims to their pimps.
She may want to get out of the business. He may not want her out of the business. She can be beaten. She can be abused. She may be addicted to drugs. So part of the proceeds that she's making may, in fact, go to drugs that he's using, that he's selling, and that he's supplying to her.
The liquor board has the authority to close bars down for good, but the board felt the prostitution problems at these bars were not that serious, so they were closed down temporarily. Kevin Brown, News Scene 2, City Hall.
Don't know anything about it.
I think that they could probably find some better way to spend their time.
I think it was very effective. I think the police were doing their jobs.
Of course, and this is a matter of community concern, there's laws against it, and we are going to address that problem.
The sting? What sting operation?
For thousands of unemployed New Mexicans, reading the want ads is a daily exercise in hope and frustration. For Jim Sheila and more than 50 other out-of-work Albuquerque residents, responding to this simple ad brought results they could hardly have anticipated. They were arrested on the spot and charged with prostitution. Sheila maintains that his record is spotless and that he is more a victim than a criminal. When he took his outrage to the media, the resulting flap made headlines and caused the premature closing of the bogus escort service known as Albuquerque's finest. Amid questions of the legality, even morality, of the APD sting operation, public opinion has ranged from indifference to indignation. The police department itself, while upholding its actions, has declined to comment on the specific merits of the case.
It has gone from the law enforcement ballpark, now it's over in the district attorney's ballpark, and of course it will be going into the courts, and the courts are going to have to make the comments on that.
Oh, I work for the DA's office.
No, we can't comment on that. It isn't our department.
Can't make a comment as a
No
concerned
comment.
citizen?
No. Sounds like entrapment to me.
For sure.
Yep.
Entrapment, as it would apply to this sting operation, I believe has been responded to by the district attorney's office.
There's no innocent people into that. They're all guilty. Get them.
The situation they had there needed some correction, I think. I believe it was all right.
No, I've been so busy I haven't read anything yet. I'm too busy right now. Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, the sting operation I think was justified. Of course, that I realized that there's probably maybe a couple of persons that were innocent that probably got trapped in there.
People gonna begin to rebel and begin to figure out ways to manipulate the situation, you know. So then why don't you put your money to a better effort than to create a problem? You know? They're not doing that.
I think that women are real caring women, and most women that have been out on the street are real caring women underneath all that bullshit.
When I look at the relationships with the pimps, it's like I'd run off from them left and right. I must have gone through about, 10 or 20 of them. And it was like I was always looking for something, you know, and I think it was just my insecurity, just looking for someone to love me and take care of me.
I think I was looking for the ultimate death. I had a lot of death wishes, and I tried suicide a lot of times. I thought that I wasn't worthwhile. I'd been told all my life that I wasn't worth much.
I would turn tricks if nobody I knew was around, you know, if I could do it without anybody knowing it. I didn't care that I knew. I just didn't want anybody else to know. But I think it was because I already didn't care about myself. I cared more about what other people thought.
I was flat-ass broke. Then I met this guy. He was a booster and he was cool, you know. Well, he was going to teach me how to boost, and gee, as long as I was promiscuous already, I could turn a few on the side and, you know, we could make a little more money and then have more. And I thought, sure, why not?
I was real little, and I ran away from home, and I went downtown, and there was this man. He started talking to me, and it was cold out, and I was hungry, and, you know, he asked me if I wanted to go to his house, and I did. And all of a sudden, I got to his house, it was like I didn't even get in the door, and he's sitting there telling me, well, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and I got so scared, you know, I did it, because I didn't leave him for the main reason I thought I'd get beat up really bad.
First question people ask you when you tell them your next prostitute is, how much money did you make? How much money did you make? Not how did you get in it or anything else. The first question is, how much money did you make?
I sometimes get to feeling really hopeless and discouraged when I listen to the women and I hear the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, and the violence that they've participated in, not just in prostitution, but for many of them throughout their whole lives. And then I start to get feeling really angry because I realize that a large part of society sanctions prostitution and even profits from it.
The core of what I learned from working with these women was that underneath the mask, they have the strength and the motivation to change, and that they can take charge of their lives.
I came here to Family and Children's because this is where I got my help. And I saw a need in the community. I saw women trying to make their changes, and they were alone. I asked for the one person that I trusted, and that was Minna Shapiro, to be my therapist, to be the co-facilitator of the group. It was important for me, having been involved in prostitution myself, to go out in the community and bring the women in. They trusted me. They could see I'd made my changes and that I seemed happy. Like one woman said to me, Del Marie, if you can do it, so can I. And that's been a basic philosophy of this group. It challenges a woman. And it also breaks some of the stereotypes that once a hoe, always a hoe, that you're always caught in prostitution. And as women in our community see other women making changes, they can't help but want to get a piece of that excitement too. So they can go on and live an existence that's more than existence. that's a living, that's an experiencing what it seems like other people are doing, having something worth living for, some happiness in their life.
And the money that I had, I never thought. I spent it so much on drugs and partying that my kids got no benefit out of it, and I certainly didn't. I think people have the thought that prostitutes have lots of money and drive real expensive cars and wear really nice clothes, which some do. But I would say the majority of women never see that money, or the money goes so fast, and there's a lot of pain that goes along with it, a lot of pain, and being real unhappy. Using drugs to cover up your feelings. And a lot of people, especially people that have never been involved with the streets, have a real hard time understanding that.
I projected that image because I didn't want anybody to know how it really was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't really want to know how it was. And it gets where you believe the lies and the fantasies yourself. And you get away from the reality of the world, and you live at night, you live with night people, and that's all you know, and you forget about all that outside stuff.
So you began to look and act just like they say you should look and act.
Yeah. And your identity, my identity was wrapped up in my drugs, in where I went, what I wore, what kind of jewelry, cologne, whatever. That's what I was about, you know. That's all I knew. And that's what I projected to other people. And I think that's why sometimes people who don't know anything about prostitutes believe that they're enjoying it, that their life's okay, and they make this choice. And it's not that way. At least for the majority of the people, and for myself, I know that that's not true.
I was wondering about the drugs. Do you think a lot of prostitutes use drugs a lot?
I know I did.
I did.
I worked out in Nevada in some of the legal houses out there, and you see sometimes 20, 30 guys on a weekend, maybe in one evening, talking like 12 hours. And it's just easier when you get tired, you know, to smoke some coke, or if you've got speed or something. It keeps you going, and it keeps the smile on, and it keeps the words coming out of your mouth, you know, saying all the right things, you know.
It sounds almost that you could separate your real self, the part of you that's inside, from the part of you that's outside. Is that what you're saying?
It's called trick because you're playing a game.
Oh, is that
you're
what
tricking
that is?
somebody
Mm-hmm.
into thinking you're doing what you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to have a few drinks in me before I could turn a trick, and then I needed the trick money to buy more drinks.
Yeah.
It was just a vicious circle.
So it really is not sexually enjoyable?
No.
The majority of them, you sit there and you grit your teeth, and you know, my skin would literally crawl when they touched me.
I'd go and get sick.
Yeah, I was real against anybody putting their lips on mine. You know, kissing was really out. That was about the grossest thing I could do with the trick.
What is it that keeps you doing it then?
We go through a brainwashing process. People tell us that that's all we're good for, and we begin to believe it ourselves.
You know what they do out in Nevada to you? When you go into a ranch, you're there for 21 days. You sign a little contract. You work 12 hours a day for 21 days straight, no days off. All you do is eat, sleep, and screw. I think one of the main reasons that I'm here now is because I stayed out for 5 weeks, and I had that time to sit and think by myself and think about what I was doing.
I started going out to this bar I used to work at, and I met this man there, and he was a pimp. We went out to Las Vegas, and he had this friend of his woman show me how to work the casinos and stuff like that. And he started acting real funny. I mean, like, okay, I couldn't go out except to go to work, you know, and he wouldn't take me out anymore. Like, we used to go out all the time when I was first with him. And then he'd get real mad at me, and I couldn't understand what he was mad at. So every once in a while he'd slap me or whatever, and he kicked me one time, and I was real shocked because I really didn't even know why he was angry. And when I was out there by myself, I got arrested for the first time, and it was so scary. It was just bizarre.
But it wasn't enough to make you get out.
No, I went to jail 27 times in Las Vegas. It was kind of like that's how you paid your taxes there. They just came and they took you to jail, and you paid $50. And you got out and you went back to work an hour and a half later. And
And it was a game for them, too.
But what was it like for you? You're going to jail, you're getting beat up, you're strung out on dope.
I guess I didn't stop to think about what it was like for me, because if I did, I wouldn't have made it. I thought about killing myself a couple times, but I was too scared to. I didn't want to die.
Did you feel that that was the only way you could get out of it, was by killing yourself?
At that time, I did. I believed that I was such a bad person and had done so many things to hurt other people, my family and all that. And then I went from pimp to pimp to pimp, because I guess I was always looking for what they were telling me they were going to give me.
Which was what?
I don't know, security, clothes, money, jewelry, cars, furs.
But who was getting the money then?
The pimp.
How did you fit that into your thinking, that you made all this money but you never got any?
That's just the way it was. He was supposed to take care of me and buy all that for me and do all this for me. And like they run this game on you, you know, about how, well, you know, and that's how they fit other women in too. It's like well, if there's more than one woman working and giving her money to, and you're all giving your money to me, then I have lots of money to take care of all of you. And that's just how it goes.
How does that look to you now?
Real sick. Real sick.
I must have really successfully blocked out a lot of stuff because I was in a real abusive relationship, and I didn't really realize how bad I felt about myself. I went to jail, it was normal. I wasn't upset to go to jail. I knew I would be out, you know. But then when I had 2 cases in a row, about a week apart, you know, then I knew I was going to be doing a little longer time. And the relationship was worse. I was getting beat up with hangers and extension cords and stuff all the time. And I just decided that really that one day I just decided that I would rather be dead than live like this. Really what was in my mind was to get away from him.
I remember when I first met you and you acted like nothing bothered you and you could do your jail time. And
yeah, that's really strange. I was thinking about that the other day because I was thinking, I used to be so, you know, nothing really could bother me. I used to be so cool and stuff. Now at the drop of the hat, you know, I'm ranting or, you know, crying or whatever, you know.
So what made you decide to come here instead of do that jail time?
Well, I didn't have a lot of choice. I was court ordered here for 6 months, and I wasn't really very happy to be here. I didn't like talking in front of a group of women. I had gotten to the point where I didn't even like my women friends. Because I wasn't, you know, I wasn't used to having a relationship with a woman where you'd say, well, how do you feel about this? You know, don't want to talk about, you know, talk about something that was happening, not how you feel. So I wasn't really used to talking about feelings at all. I felt really uncomfortable. And I felt like I'd been faking feelings for so long. I thought everybody's feelings were all fake.
Well, I'm wondering about what kind of reception you met in the outside world when you went looking for jobs or tried to kind of join the mainstream.
It was real hard for me to accept that I was going to have to do almost anything to start out to get my foot back in the door. And I lied on the applications. I said I was a housewife for years and years, and that's what the 8-year gap was, you know. But that was, you know, I certainly wasn't going to go in and say, yes, I've hooked for 8 years on and off, you know.
What would happen if somebody did put that on an application?
They probably wouldn't hire you.
Or you get propositioned.
Yeah, you get hired and then they don't hire you.
What do you mean you get propositioned?
Well, they'd approach you about, you know, giving some to them, yeah.
And probably wouldn't even mention anything about money, but expect that you would be a loose woman and they could talk to you, tell dirty jokes to you. You know, I got that a lot. If they did know about my past, they would come up to me and talk to me real foul, you know, start telling dirty jokes to me like I was going to accept them, and, you know.
Interesting what you're talking about in terms of professionals, for instance, not being helpful to you, and you talked about the fact that you're an employer, if you had told him that you were in the business before, would somehow expect for himself, you know, sexual favors or whatever you want to call it. and that somehow or other that's compounding your trying to get out.
Oh, yeah.
That the world around you isn't helpful.
I had been through lots of therapy before I came here, one-to-one therapies usually, and I had had real bad experiences with it. As a matter of fact, all my therapists had happened to be men. As a matter of fact, one of my therapists, when I was trying to get out of the life, not attacked me, but I mean gave me this big, long tongue kiss when I left his office, you know, and I mean, you don't think that freaked me out about groups or about professional anything. I just couldn't even hardly get a grip, and when my girlfriend said, I found this great group of women, I said, forget it. You know, I mean, she really had to do a lot of teeth pulling to get me to come.
A lot of the world has a real stake in keeping prostitution going.
Yeah, I worked in a bar. I was a waitress, and most of my tricks were from out of that bar. And my boss knew that I was a hooker. So he would give my telephone number to friends of his. And I also got called into the office to give the boss blowjobs to keep my job.
Yeah.
It's real, real sick the way this society uses women.
Men sometimes, it's a real ego thing for them to know that they, or to tell other men that they know a hooker, or they know somebody that they can have a good time with. That feeds their ego, because then they feel they're needed, or they've got something that somebody else doesn't have. It sets them apart. It's like them locker room stories or whatever, you know? And it's real bad if you're on the other end of it, if you're the woman that's getting it.
You just look at them, you know, you might be judging them wrong or right, but I still always look at people and I say, he's a jerk.
Oh, I do too.
And that's how I deal with them then, you know, then I'm like that with them, you know.
When I look at my dad, because he's around the age a lot of tricks are, in his early 50s, and because he's the typical looking businessman, I look at my father as a trick, really. I mean, I love him dearly, but I still have that thought in my mind when I look at my dad as a trick.
So many of the women that I have talked to have actually had their family members molest them and take advantage of them because they either were the only woman around or because whatever, they were in a helpless position.
That happened with my uncle, and I never told anybody about it until I went to treatment. I told my mother. It was her brother, and she was so surprised, you know. She said, I thought if anybody would have did that, it would have been one of your dad's brothers, and I had never told anybody. It was when I was real young.
But she wasn't so surprised that a family member would do it.
No, not that her family. She said she watched for that real carefully because it happened to her when she was younger, and she had never told anybody.
I had a lot of sexual encounters when I was real young. One of my main ones was my dentist. And I was so afraid to tell my parents. I used to go to my dentist. He used to put his hand up my dress. I left the office. He'd put his hands on my breast and walk me out. And I mean, I was just scared.
How old were you?
Oh, from about 9 till about 12.
What did you tell yourself about yourself at that point?
That I was real developed. I developed real young. I got my period when I was 10, you know, I mean, I developed real young, and I felt like because I had big breasts and because I was tall and I looked big, that I looked sexy, and that sex was dirty, and so it was my fault that these men were attracted to me, and there was nothing I could do.
You couldn't tell anyone?
I couldn't tell anyone.
The thing is, I can't understand what it's taking so long to get over. I mean, he's a man, okay, and he hanging with me, and, you know, he took me to New York City, made me work the streets 24 hours, you know, and, I mean, he did dog me, you know, but I'm missing that one thing. He'll call me up and he'll ask me how I'm doing. Well, I just want to keep in touch with you and let you know that I'm still around. Goodbye, you know. And so I'll call him back, and I'll talk to him for a good hour, and oh, it's just really strange.
What's strange about it?
Well, I feel myself weakening, you know. I'm starting to think, well, maybe I don't. Well, I just had a baby, okay. And I'm starting to think, well, you know, which one's more important? My baby or...
So you feel like it's a choice?
Yeah. And it's really starting to bother me because I really do love him, but I don't know.
You know, I want to say something to you. I think I hear you saying that
You don't like the way he treated you. You don't like the icky things that happened to you, getting beat up and working the streets and stuff. But there were some real nurturing parts that you do like. You might be in love with a dream kind of thing, the way you want him to be. And it's real hard sometimes to let go of those dreams. Does everybody know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Wow.
Your right arm.
And it's real painful, Kathy. And you look really sad.
I can't be with him, and I want to real bad.
Yeah. And you are afraid of that part of you that feels so weak?
The weakness.
Yeah. Because when you say that he's on one side and your baby's on the other side, you're really saying that, there's a part of you that wants out of that past life, and your baby represents that. And then there's the other part, the part that's so, tempted by that dream that she was talking about. Because everybody wants a dream to come true.
The easy part is to let go of man, but the hard part to let go of is that dream. That why couldn't he be like this? Or maybe he can be like this. If I stay with him long enough, he'll change.
If I'm a good enough girl and do what he wants.
And it takes a long time for that dream to die.
Does that sound right, Kathy?
Oh, yeah, but I feel like I'm sitting on a spindle. I mean, the only thing that's holding me back is my mother and my baby.
What would happen if you went back to him?
He'd have me, we'd be together for a little while, and then next we'd be on our way to Hollywood or something.
He'd be with you for a little while, and then he'd be with Leanne for a little while, and then maybe he'd come and see you for a little while, and then he'd all pack up and go to Hollywood, and you'd have to work, right?
Well, see, I know
No
that.
baby.
I know exactly.
Where would the baby be?
At home with my mother.
Yeah. But what has your father said about that?
That he'll take the baby away.
So the baby would not be
yours.
Right.
And he means it too, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't you want him to do that?
No.
You'd want him to have you'd want your father to let you have your baby.
No, I wouldn't want my
though
father to let me have my baby and I'm out doing stuff like that.
No, that's why the baby deserves better. But so do you deserve better. So do you.
What would happen to you if you went back to that?
If I did go back, I'd end up in a mental institution because I would feel that the life I'm living now, I'm really happy with it. But I'm missing that one thing, and it's just...
Yeah, and everybody wants to have love, and that feels like love to you.
And it's love like we know it.
But it isn't real.
I just want myself to stop thinking about it, which is not going to happen.
Well, you know what? You can think about it. It's all right for you to think about it. It's just not all right for you to do anything which will help you get there.
I mean, if I didn't have my baby, I'd be sitting right back with him.
But you do have your baby, Kathy.
You do have
and
your
you
baby.
want your baby.
You chose to have that child. You chose not to have an abortion. You chose to keep him instead of putting him up for adoption.
You quit taking drugs so that the baby be healthy.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm uncomfortable with you doing it only for your baby. I wish you were doing it for yourself because you deserve more.
You want to go with this man, and I don't think anybody in here can say, I don't understand that. There's days when I really just want to go back to what used to be.
Yeah.
And it's okay, and if I talk about it and go all the way through what happens, yeah, I get to go get on a plane, and I get to go lay up in some hotel and have room service, and go buy this and go buy that, and then I get through all that fun, supposedly, stuff, to the sick mornings and the having to get the fix, and the ass-kickings, and the lonely times. If I can get through and make it to that point, then I don't want to go back. Maybe if you just talk yourself through the whole fantasy, yeah, it'd be neat and it'd be fun, but is it really worth it in the end, And like, what kind of a payoff are you getting out of it, and can you get that payoff somewhere else?
You know a lot more about yourself and about what's really happening now than you did then. You could never really go back and try and go backwards in your mind either. You'd always have, like when he did something, you'd recognize it and say, oh, he's just trying to do this. You'd always, it's like a seed planted.
Right. And everybody in this room wants to help in whatever way they can help. But you have the power. So appreciate that power and use it well for you because you deserve it, damn it. Do you want that power?
Yes, I want it. I feel I got it, but...
But what?
It's slipping.
How is it slipping? How is it slipping?
I'm letting it slip.
Okay. You are giving it away. You are more than letting it slip. And when you are giving it away, you want to give away everything that you deserve, which is good, including your child. So if you give away that power, you're also giving away your child.
You know, like when you have a new baby.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever feel like
hurting the baby?
No.
What?
No.
What, honey?
Like you weren't being, like you couldn't be a mom, you know?
Like you couldn't be a mom?
Oh, you bet.
Doubts about yourself?
What?
Do you want?
No. Oh, no, I don't think you think I'm... Oh, it kind of feels like I'm not giving them everything, you know? And I want to. And I think, you know, maybe I should keep them because I'm not going to be able to give them everything. Mm-hmm. And it's scary.
Yes.
Kathy, hang on to him. Don't give him up, Kathy. I gave up my little boy. I got so afraid that I would hurt him that I left because I didn't want to hurt him. And now I'm not sure if my ex-husband is the right person to have him.
And you know what? That's a real natural feeling, especially when you're a single mom.
It's your first child.
And your first child, and you're young. Hey, I was about your age when I had my first baby, and I was by myself. And Kathy, I had the same thoughts. I had the same exact thoughts. You know, here I am with this little itty-bitty baby, and everybody, all my other friends were out partying and having a good time, and here I was and didn't even know whether I was capable or not of taking care of that little baby. So it's not a weird feeling.
You're not the only one that ever felt like that.
You know, his father was one of my dates, and it's just... He's such a beautiful baby, huh?
You feel like
I could ask for any better.
You feel like he deserves better.
Yeah, I kind of do.
But you know what? You really have the best he can give.
Mm-hmm. But
if you'll give it, you'll give it. But the only way you can give it is by giving it to yourself first. You have the power.
And Kathy, you're going to be just fine. You're doing wonderful. Look at where you've come from.
Oh, Kathy, it'll come. It really will come. Are you worried about what your baby is going to feel like when your baby finds out prostituted?
I was hoping he wouldn't find out. But...
I'm going to tell you something. I told both my kids. I sat both my kids down and told them. And my daughter was real young. My daughter was about 5 when I told her, and my son was about 10. But I chose to tell my children rather than having them hear it from the street.
Right.
And my children, I'm probably going to cry.
It's okay.
My little girl looked at me after it was all over, and she started crying. And I said, Natalie, why are you crying? And she said, Mommy, you went through so much, and I'm so glad you're not working anymore. So really, kids can take it a lot better than we think they can. You know, I was real scared to tell them that maybe they wouldn't like me anymore. But they took it real well. As a matter of fact, here's my little 5-year-old feeling sorry for me, you know? So, I mean, when you have to, don't cross that bridge until you come to it. But when you come to it, the only thing I can say is be real honest with them, because kids know a lot more than you give them credit for. Yeah.
I just found out this past summer that my 13-year-old daughter was not bothered by my husband, that she is a trick child, like your baby. She's 13. So when I got the letter from the blood bank. I said, well, I can tell you that that man was not your father, but I can't tell you who was. It's a real helpless feeling that you don't know. And she'll probably always have questions, but she knew, I mean, she lived in the life from the time she was a baby. I had tricks going through my house all the time. And she didn't have any good feelings for the man that we thought was her father. So it wasn't real hard for her to let him go. But now she's got nothing to grab onto either.
She's got you.
Yeah, and I'm getting stronger all the time, and we're getting to know each other better. And my younger son is half in the life and half out. He's a male prostitute at times. I get guilty feelings about all this. I say, well, if I was a better mother, or if I hadn't done this or I hadn't done that, and I'm working real hard taking all the negative stuff that has happened to me and turn it around to be positive, to go into counseling to help other people.
And getting
that
counseling
goal,
for yourself, Carolyn. You're
yes,
getting a lot of help
yes,
for yourself
I'm
right
doing
now.
that. Finally.
And they can look at you and see that you have been through similar things that they have been through,
Yes.
and you have gotten out, and therefore they can get out.
And I can talk their language, and I can feel what they're feeling.
Right.
I've come a hell of a long
you
way.
have, Carolyn.
I want to know how you're doing there.
I'm feeling good. That I finally got that out.
Do you think that it did this group any good to have you ask that question?
Yeah, I think so. You did. It did Donna so good.
What about
these two over here?
I think we all cried here.
Got us closer?
Yeah.
As soon as you said my baby, you know, I knew just what you were going to say.
I'm starting to feel better about my children now that I've been out. Mostly better about myself. You know, my self-esteem is a lot better than it was when I was working.
It's okay for me to feel. It's okay for me to be scared or sad or lonely, whatever. That I can't solve all the problems. But to just be more human.
I mean, when I get out of my pity bag, things are really pretty good, you know. I can get downright excited, you know. And I never used to be able to get excited about anything except drugs.
The man I used to be with, you know, I don't ever think that I could be with him again. Because I know I do deserve more.
I'm going to school, and I never thought I could go to school.
And doing good.
Yes, and getting A's and B's, and every time I get them, I think,
where are you going?
Wow, you know, I mean, it's just so surprising. Every time I get one, then I get real nervous about, I probably won't be able to get another one, you know. But I really like this group. I don't come all the time, but, you know, I still feel comfortable when I come back.
Yeah.
It's a place to come.
What would you tell someone that is still in the life in order to give them hope and courage to get out?
That no matter how long they've been out there or how short they've been out there, they can start a new life and they can get it together and go back into the straight life and live.
So they don't have to believe that once a hoe, always a hoe.
No.
But you'd have to say something to get them to want to think about it, you know? Because I have a lot of friends that are still working, and I talked to them lately, and I've been saying, you know, well, come to this meeting, let's go to this meeting.
I still have friends that are working too that I've talked to.
Do you ever try to get them to come?
Sure. And they say, yeah, I'm coming. And eventually someday I know they will. Because they know we're here now. And they know there's, you know, they know there's an alternative. So when they're ready, I think they'll come.